What up, Blackish fam? It's your boy B. I had to take a little day and a half off. Your boy got his test results, and I am COVID positive. One of these teenagers, looked like a pregnancy test. One of the teenagers brought it into the house, and luckily I'm pretty good. But I've had my sweats and hot then cold, so I've been trying to restrict myself from other areas of the house. But I couldn't help it. I saw that Tobe Nwigwe dropped some new music, Undressing criticism. Without further ado, I want to get right to it. This has become my favorite artist. I think it's my favorite artist right now. So I'm just so interested in going through his work and breaking down the bars. Man, let's get right to it. Hopefully he's still got the lyrics on the bottom. I can appreciate that. Toby looking a little bit thicker. You been eating good, huh, boy? Look at you. Oh, Thickums face. You been getting at those snacks.
Look, I stepped outside my crib today and took time from my babies to reflect and have an introspective moment about my lady. Last month we made it 4 years and a blessing of matrimony. But know some folk who yoked and broke, now both need alimony.
Ooh, yoked and broke, so both need alimony, right? They lost their way, right?
Yoked and broke, now both need alimony. Ratchet homies, though they blasted for me and clapped phonies, still detached from knowing how being vulnerable truly feels. And though I've had some classless moments, my past unfolded, hood rats and rodents, down my path to Damascus that truly healed. Every image before.
Down my path to Damascus that truly healed. I'm a little bit thrown. I know Damascus is the capital of Syria, and I know it's in the Bible as being one of the oldest inhabited places on earth, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't understand the reference. Let's just run it back a bit. I like what he's saying, though, too, about kind of giving up the lives of hoes and hood rats, skinks and scallywags, right? And he said that most of his partners don't really know the true meaning of being vulnerable, meaning being in love, right? Giving yourself to someone else. But let's run it back here. He's having an introspective moment, right?
And have an introspective moment about my lady. Last month we made it 4 years and a blessing of matrimony.
So it's blessed matrimony, obviously that's marriage, right? So that's 4 years. Hey, we're about, I've been married for approximately the same amount of time. Maybe it's a little bit less. I don't know.
But know some folk who yoked and broke, now both need alimony. Ratchet homies, though they blasted for me.
He's saying the ratchet homies, bro, they'll still blast for him.
And clap at phonies, still detached from knowing how being vulnerable truly feels. And though I've had some classless moments, my past unfolded, hood rats and rodents, down my path to Damascus that truly healed. Every ailment before the mailman delivered agape in the form of fat.
Chill on going hard, right? He's already got me like questioning. Sometimes it's not even just the meaning, it's his meaning, right? Because there's synonyms, there's homonyms, right? And his wordplay is definitely underrated. And you could tell this is just an intelligent brother, not just intelligent when it comes to Black history, but intelligent, well-rounded, right? Let's just run that back just a sec here, so I can get context.
Moment about my lady. Last month we made it 4 years and a blessing of matrimony. But know some folk who yoked and broke, now both need alimony. Ratchet homies, though they blasted for me and clapped phonies, still detached from knowing how being vulnerable truly feels. And though I've had some classless moments, my past unfolded, hood rats and rodents, down my path to Damascus that truly healed. Every ailment before the.
He said that truly healed every ailment, right? An ailment is like a sickness. So he's saying it healed every sickness before the mailman delivered agape. Agape, if I'm not mistaken, is like the love of God or the reciprocal love of God. And let me make sure I'm understanding that.
To Damascus that truly healed. Every ailment before the mailman delivered agape.
That's a weird way of putting it, right? Before the mailman delivered agape. Let's just hear the context. Maybe we'll jump back to that. If you know what that might mean or the context in which he's saying that, I'm questioning, like, before the mailman delivered agape, is he saying that now it's something it's very common, right? It's easier to get. Am I understanding agape right? Is that the love of God? I want to make sure I'm understanding that.
In the form of fat, who at first contact was a frivolous entree.
He said with Fat, that's his wife, right? Fat Nwigwe, that her first contact was a frivolous entree. When you think of frivolous, you normally think of cheap, right? Like a cheap entree. Like she had her first contact with something that was maybe cheapened.
We had dissonance.
That normally means that the two people aren't seeing eye to eye, right? And I did see their love story, so I know that she had love for him before he necessarily had love for her, right? He wasn't, we all know that women mature quicker than men do, and it sounds like he wasn't quite ready there yet.
Who at first contact was a frivolous entree. We had dissonance, but her diligence and commitment when I was indifferent was equivalent to someone hit with the spirit and forced to lay prostrate.
Ooh. Now, you don't hear that often. Normally, when you hear prostrate, you're talking about a prostrate exam, right? Or that's how most people think of it as. But there's another definition. It means like to not fight, right? To lay, I guess, lay still, if you will. I think of it as, you're helpless, right? You're in a fetal position. You're overwhelmed with like grief or illness, right? You're just completely helpless.
Overwhelming, potent, and pure, but undeniable. She's my friend when I had no ends. That made us somewhat sizable.
Yeah.
Difference in how I would listen when she would express the intrinsic gem she saw within me that made me desirable.
Ooh.
To her, but I was sure it wasn't mutual. And around that time wasn't always kind, but I was always truthful.
And I know a little bit about this because, I was a fraternity guy. I'm just a little bit shorter than Tobe Nwigwe. I believe he's 6'2", but I'm a big guy. I used to go, I used to do my thing out there, and he says sometimes you tell people things that they're not quite in a position to hear, right? Sometimes they don't want to hear that you're not the one or you're not ready for a relationship. But what he's saying is I was always truthful, right? I always told you where I stood. Like, don't expect anything out of this. This is where I stand. And from seeing the beautiful love story that they put together, and we reacted to it, my wife and I here on YouTube, he just wasn't there, but he was completely honest about where he was. And I think that was very respectable, right? Because he wasn't out here just trying to smash and dash. He was telling her, like, I don't think I'm there quite yet. But, like anything, it can grow on you. Let's run it back just a few seconds. This is beautiful and it's different. What he's saying is it's just a different approach to talking about love.
She saw within me that made me desirable. To her, but I was sure it wasn't mutual. And around that time wasn't always kind, but I was always truthful. I'd rather lose you than use you, confuse you, seduce you, abuse you, or run through you like most dudes do.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, right? I could have ran through you. I could have just smashed and dipped and told you what you want to hear. But I'm trying to be a man of honor, right? I'm trying to tell you, like, you're not exactly what I'm looking for. I don't think I'm in a place where I want a relationship. I'm down to fuck, right? I'm down if you're down, but I want to be truthful. Like, I don't want you blowing me up, asking me where I am or who I'm with. It's not like that. And if you understand that and you're down for that, then, I'm down to do this. That's cool.
I told her clear as day, I don't want you. She looked at me and said, cool. Some people hear that and say, girl, what's wrong with you? And to that I say, hell, baby, what's wrong with you?
Yep.
She knew what she wanted, but knew I wasn't there yet. So rather than run around the field, she made a fair catch. Took what was given that never altered her vision and faith.
Ball like that, but fair catch, that's just a football reference. And for those who know, I've been learning a bit more about Tobe. He used to play college football. Let's run it back just a few seconds here. She made a fair catch.
She knew what she wanted, but knew I wasn't there yet. So rather than run around the field, she made a fair catch. Took what was given that never altered her vision. In fact, she moved with precision towards being friends with no strings attached. While most people drown waiting, her love and her sound making decisions built the ground-shaking foundation. So when I had my peace, I could place my feet on something concrete. The cost of love ain't cheap, it's steep. Unless you want something for the streets, well hell, then I concede and easily can see why I see these tweets. that reek of those who struggle with rejection, though they mask it by projecting false realities that they deem true. That's why I'm weary when I speak to folk who stressing or victims of mass deception, cause I'm knowing they ain't got a clue. How the healers want offended when presented someone's genuine experience that don't make or break you doing you.
Yo, that's so sick, and that's a completely intellectual perspective, right? That's an intellectual approach to life. You know, it's like when you say there's some people that are completely anti-vax, right? They're against the vaccination, and it's like, yo, I'm not anti-vax. In fact, I've received my vaccination and my booster, but I will fight for your right to choose what goes in your body. Why? Because I believe in the Constitution, right? And your right to choose. That's why I feel like a woman should have the right to decide what happens with her own body. It doesn't mean that I'm pro-abortion, or I just want the person to have a right. It doesn't change the way that I feel. Like, I don't like the fact that you're not vaccinated. That I don't like what it stands for, but I support your right to not be vaccinated, if that makes sense. But I like how he put it in a much more eloquently than I did. He just a great approach, I think, to a relationship. And one would argue that that wouldn't work for everyone, but she knew what she wanted and she fought for it. And I don't think it makes it any less valued of a relationship, because I've seen those comments online too, like, yo, you made her fight for you? Like, you should never fight for no man. No, she knew what she wanted and she fought for it. And I think it was very respectable that he said, yo, I'm not ready for that. That made it even more significant when he was, because they both knew they were ready. And I think he references that by saying that the foundation was made of concrete, right? Let's run that back a bit.
And her sound making decisions built the ground shaking foundation. So when I had my peace, I could place my feet on something concrete. The cost of love ain't cheap, it's steep. Unless you want something for the streets, well, hell, then I can see and easily can see why I see these tweets that reek of those who struggle with rejection, though they mask it by projecting
false realities.
False realities that they deem true. That's why I'm weary when I speak to folk who stressing or victims of mass deception, cause I'm knowing they ain't got a clue.
You ever talk to somebody that doesn't know anything about what they're talking about? and you can't help but, you know, I just realized that with those people, you just, yeah, no, that's cool, man. And you move on. You can't even have a conversation with them because they don't even understand the facts at a minimal level, right? I remember something I learned when I was younger. Don't raise your voice, improve your argument, right? If you have great facts and you can support your facts, there's no need to scream because your point is coming across.
How the hellers want offended when presented someone's genuine experience that don't make or break you doing you. It's hard to comprehend and some condemn the road in which you travel, like the gravel beneath your feet gon' alter their shoes or positioning. My nonfiction ain't here to contend with your nonfiction, and you free to do whatever you choose. But hell, that's the world we live in. When your chips is high, be wary of the ones who chip in. Shaitan gon' always try to chip.
Yo, he said when your chips are high, be wary of the ones that chip in, right? It's when you're doing good, everyone pops out of the woodworks, right? Everyone wants a little piece of the action. He said people are willing to chip in because you're doing good. They know you're traveling in a positive direction. Basically, they're trying to ride your wave. It's the ones that chip in when they don't know what to expect, right? When you first started out rapping, when you first are trying to get your crew off the ground, when you didn't have the money to put together videos, right? Who was subscribing to my channel when I had under 200 subscribers versus who's there riding the wave once I'm at 1 million, right? Now, think about that. That is so very true, right? That's just unfortunately how the world works. People always think you're crazy until what you were arguing was proven true, and now they're trying to ride the wave.
Hell, that's the world we live in. When your chips is high, be wary of the ones who chip in. Shaitan gon' always try to tempt you, know that it is written.
And again, my religious references aren't always on point. And I don't know if I'm getting this properly. I know the the Muslim version of this, but not the Christian version, which I think he is. But basically, I think of it like an imp, right? It's like a baby devil. They have devilish ways. They're always trying to tempt you. So when there was disobedience, one of these, a shaitan, if you would, I believe they were cast out of heaven by Allah, or on the other side, right? And that supposedly these shaitans, these imps, there's a variety of different words. Supposedly that in revenge they would spend eternity trying to tempt humans to do evil. There's a lot of urban legends or old myths that say, like, have you ever heard that of genies, right? And they say that you have 3 wishes. Well, supposedly they're tricksters, right? And I've heard this before, old legends of people saying, like, for my first wish, man, I wish I had a big cock. And then all of a sudden, it's growing and growing and growing to this, unusual, uncomfortable way, right? It's not something that people say there have been these things that entice them to do evil. Some would even say that they heard it in their head, that they had to kill someone. Look at Charles Manson, right? He said that he heard voices in his head to do something. Throughout history, we have these people that have supposedly had these encounters, but something demonic, they say, was speaking to them. I just think it's really interesting. When I was young, I used to read this book on imps. It's like it was a little baby devil, but he could grant wishes, and he had these supernatural powers. But you might say, I want to be a millionaire. And you are a millionaire. All the money's in your room, but then all of a sudden the FBI is knocking on your door. There was always a twist, right, to what they granted. So I think it's really cool that he's referencing that shaitan. There's different names, but I think the shaitan can either be for Muslims or Christians, but it's normally like a devil or something performing in a devilish way or tempting you.
I'm always trying to tempt you, know that it is written. But who am I? I said a lot, but I might be tripping. Oh.
Nah, you're not tripping. And I want to just address the people that were hurt or triggered by our story of how we got, married. And to those people that had that limited understanding of what our story was and felt some type of way, it's okay. It's okay. And here's why it's okay. Because life is hard. Life is hard, and it's even harder when you involve relationships, because you can get hurt, you can get scarred, you can get bruised. And it's so easy to take all of those things with us on a day-to-day and hold on to them tight. And so when you encounter something that tries to deal with it, it hurts. It hurts, and you're forced to either deal with that hurt or you create an alternate reality. And I think a lot of people that were looking at our story, they were creating that alternate reality through their filter of hurt or rejection. And it's okay, because you can get help, and you can sit down with somebody and you can talk to them and you can process what happened to you, so that when you hear someone's origin story, you don't have that same response. You don't have to hear it and get angry or get mad or be triggered by it, because you can heal. You can heal from that hurt. You can heal from that pain and that rejection. You deserve to heal.
Yo, that's tight. It looks like she could be hiding a little baby bump or something, right? She's got it pulled over her. But another great song, man. Tobe definitely brought it. But I'm glad they addressed the criticism that they were receiving. My wife and I watched their love story, and I did find it a little odd that she was pursuing him when he wasn't as interested. But I think we've all been there in some form of way. And just because that's their story and that's what worked out for them, doesn't mean that you have to feel some type of way, right? Or if that wasn't what happened with you, that's great. Wait, where's my clap? I think I got here we go. More power to you. But another killer song by Tobe. Definitely, one that I like, and always excited to hear some new work.